My name is Malcolm Mundy. I'm a registered nurse and a part-time astrologer here in Austin, Texas, and these are my predictions for the year 2011. I'll be covering them in 10-minute segments with possibly one segment covering one of the many predictions that I will cover, or one of the areas of predictions that I will cover. The areas of prediction that I will be covering for 2011 include the United States of America, Barack Hussein Obama, Federal Reserve, the New York Stock Exchange, China, Russia, Israel, and Iran. I'll also be covering my sources of research regarding the New York Stock Exchange and why I think some of the things that may be happening will be happening. So it may go into some detail. Also, I'll be doing some explanations that some astrologers may be able to understand, but Joe Q public, who doesn't really understand astrology that much, may not understand what I'm talking about. So I'll just basically try to cut to the chase, if possible, and just give you the basic predictions. But I will be doing some astrological explanations, and I apologize to those who may not understand such. Anyway, my predictions for the year 2010 were 80% accurate, and I'll cover those right now. Number one, my prediction for accelerated strained relationships between U.S. citizens and their government for 2010. This was correct. 2 words. Tea Party. Number two, in regards to tea parties, predictions for more tea parties to come and negative overtones concerning the government and current economic state. This was correct. Think of TSA and the use of groping your genitalia and your wife's breasts, your husband's gonads. Think of that as being a perceived way that we're going to eliminate terrorism, and instead it's made a lot of people peed off. Also, another aspect, think of bank foreclosures of home. This is accelerated, and there's some questions regarding some of these foreclosures, especially some people who were foreclosed on had already owned the title to their house. In other cases, the banks weren't able to come up with the titles for the house because it was part of mortgage-backed security packages that they sold all around the planet to different investment firms and different investors. Number three, predictions for bank failures in 2010 to exceed that of 2009. This was correct. In 2009, we had 140 bank failures. As of November 2010, we had 142. Number four, prediction that the price of gold will jump in 2010, and we'd have lack of media coverage thereof. This was true. We had gold increased in price 27% for 2010. The biggest gainers of all, interestingly, were cotton and palladium. They both jumped 90% in 2010. And silver jumped 70% in 2010. And it is going to be my personal opinion, not certainty, but opinion, that silver may be the best investment of our lifetime. I think we will see a 3-digit silver price sometime in the next 5 years. And this is because of the scarcity of the metal relative to the demand of it for applications in China, India, and Russia, and the United States. Okay, number five, prediction of public relations problem with the Federal Reserve on July 12, 2010. This was correct, but it was off by 9 days. The Federal Reserve meeting was on that day, but it lasted something like 4 to 5 days, which is highly unusual. This was under an eclipse when this started. It did make a lot of people on Wall Street upset, because Ben Bernanke came out and said that the stock market and the economy was fragile. I give myself a half point for that one because I was correct, but putting it at the exact day, that wasn't really bright of me to do that. Number six, major problems to surface for the Federal Reserve between August and November. This was correct. They lost in the U.S. Court of Appeals in terms of Bloomberg requesting through the Freedom of Information Act to reveal the monies that were received by banks that was distributed by the Federal Reserve to such banks. The Federal Reserve has been stonewalling this and refusing to reveal such names. They are to this date still stonewalling, and we now have Ron Paul, who's going to be head of the House Finance Committee, and they will probably continue to stonewall this, and I'll get more into that when I go into the Federal Reserve. But they lost a big case in the Court of Appeals. They had lost the case before that, then they appealed it to the U.S. Court of Appeals, and then they lost that one. Okay, number 7. Predictions for the Dow Jones Industrial Average to reach an important high within the first 8 months of 2010. This was correct. On May 6th, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged 995 points. This was the largest point drop. It wasn't the largest percentage drop, but it was the largest point drop for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And this came 20 minutes after Ben Bernanke warned a House committee that any audit of the Federal Reserve may have very dire repercussions. Prediction number 8. Prediction for the market to sell off in the last 4 months. This was incorrect. I give myself 0 points on this one. Market went up, and unfortunately, I fell into the same camp that a lot of astrologers fell into, and it started to creep into Wall Street. And I really believe we had a massive square, T-square going on between Pluto, Saturn, and Uranus at 0 degrees of the cardinal axis. And everybody was sure this was going to really hit the financial markets hard. And it didn't. Instead, it made everyone on Wall Street and everyone in the financial community very negative, especially the people who were following astrology per se. And as you know, when everyone is negative regarding stocks on Wall Street, that is usually the time to buy. So we had a reversal. The market actually crept up. So I was wrong on that one. Number 9, predictions of a huge conflict within the New York Stock Exchange near the time of January 18, 2010, which was an eclipse. This was correct. Barack Obama came out and said that he wants to start a committee to see just how big banks should be allowed to be, or how big they should be if they are too big to fail. And this pretty much spooked the market, but realistically it went nowhere. And I honestly think that this may have been a statement that the president was making just for show, just to show that he was going after the big banks, which is really ludicrous because they're mainly the ones who financed his presidency. Prediction number 10, prediction of July 11th eclipse to bring a conflict between the New York Stock Exchange and the Fed. This was, again, that was the eclipse I talked about before. I gave myself a half point on that one, simply because the meeting dragged out for 4 to 5 days. Usually a Federal Reserve meeting will last 1 or 2 days. This one lasted like 4 to 5 days, which is unusual. And then Ben Bernanke came out and said the economy and the stock market is fragile, and everyone on Wall Street was upset about that. So I give myself a half point on that one. And anyway, that comes out to 80% correct. Okay, so let's talk about the United States of America. Okay.